Welcome back. Welcome back. Congratulations for making it to week 5. Are you loving losing weight by not doing stuff? Oh, yeah, I am loving losing weight. You guys should be down at least 20 pounds by now. Just by not eating beef and not eating when we're full, you're not even hungry. So we're getting full and stopping, and that's causing us to lose weight. Oh, yeah, I love it. Last week was so interesting, discovering that meat in the Bible was bread. Was that a shocker to you guys to learn that primarily eating bread today wasn't eating bread back then? Like, eating bread is all about baking bread in the pan. That was like the main meal of the day. It wasn't like a side item, but bread was the main dish. Bread was made using amaranth flour, buckwheat, ancient grains. Now let's talk about those portion sizes. How hard was it to not eat from the whole bag, the big bag of chips? It's hard for me because trying to portion out sizes versus eating from the whole bag. First, I gotta find some Tupperware. So, come on now. I know y'all learned some tricks on how to keep up with this diet. Help us out. Join the Facebook group. Show us what you've done to limit your portion sizes. Weigh in this week. How much have you lost? Post your progress report. Give us your questions. State how many weeks or how many months you're in. And give us all your tricks to help someone else out. Now we are in the week 5 meal plan. So here's the summary for this week. Drink 1 cup of lemon water. Take 1 curcumin pill every day. You got to keep flushing out your system. Eat 5 servings of raw fruits and vegetables. Take those prebiotics if possible. Get 7 hours of sleep. No eating after 9 p.m. Eliminate beef and dairy products. Complete your Candida regimen if you need it. But right now, those sugar cravings should be under control. Go ahead and eliminate those sugary drinks for 5 of the 7 days. Take your probiotics. Eliminate genetically modified foods. Choose organic when possible. You're going to push back that plate when you're full. And this week, eliminate pork and pork products. Yes, we are going to eliminate pork. And by doing nothing, so just by not eating pork, you are going to lose more weight. Last week we saw that beef was a type of red meat. Well, pork also falls into that category. When I stopped eating pork, it was purely due to the spiritual instructions found in Scripture. I had no knowledge of why God said to not eat meat like pork and rabbits, but guess what happened? I started losing more weight. So once again, I'm back thinking, how can by not doing something, I'm actually losing more weight? Is the thing that I was doing stopping me from actually losing weight? So I don't know, but this week we're going to start with, what does the Bible have to say? Pork is listed as unclean in the Bible. So there's 2 scriptures in particularly, Leviticus 11:1 and Deuteronomy 14:8. Leviticus 11:1 says, And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which you shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatsoever parteth the hoof, and is cloven-footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divideth the hoof. As the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the coney, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the hare, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the swine, though he divideth the hoof, and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud, he is unclean to you. Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch. They are unclean unto you. There's also some verses in Isaiah 65 and Isaiah 66 that mention it as well. So the main crux of the scriptures are saying that the swine, which is the pig, which we also call pork, is unclean unto us, and I just stopped eating it just because it was in the Bible. Now, the scripture says any land animal that is cloven-footed and cheweth the cud is acceptable to eat. But if they're missing one of those criteria, you cannot eat them. And I was like, what does it mean to be cloven-footed? Well, here's some pictures of different types of feet print that animals have. And the more, I think about God's creation, I just think it's so awesome that he can create so many different patterns in his creatures and plants. And like we already been talking about, some of these animals have superpowers. We're trying to create genetically modified foods based off of the traits that these animals and bacteria and viruses and plants have. And so, just think about these are the feet print of lions and cats and horses and elk and dogs and crocodiles and so many different patterns. But the cloven foot means that you have this divided toe. So you have this print, it's like this elk in row 2. You see the pattern of the elk? You have this divided toe, and so that's the cloven-footed animals, if they have the divided toe. Now, not all cloven-footed animals are clean to eat, because in this picture, that's the camel, right? And so let's see the other criteria next. So the first criteria, cloven-footed, but the second criteria is chew the cud. So here's a picture of some animals that chew the cud. So we have the buffalo, deer, giraffe, sheep, goat, horses. And from the row 2 in the last picture, we saw that those elk, so it's very similar to the deer, was one of those creatures that have both, right? Animals like these swallow their food first without chewing, and then the food comes back up after being digested in their stomachs to their mouths where they chew it. So it's an interesting way to digest food, and I didn't know that animals even did this, so I didn't really know what cud was. So let's just talk about our own digestion first. So in our digestion, our actual, physical digestion starts in the mouth. But in our bodies, our digestion really starts with our brain sending electrical signals to the glands in our mouth and our stomachs to start pumping fluids in order for the process of digestion to start. Have you ever just seen food and your mouth started salivating? Or have you ever just smelled food and you were hungry and your stomach started hurting? Because your body was automatically starting to pump in those juices into your stomach, and it made your stomach hurt. So digestion starts in our brain sending signals first, even before you eat. And next, digestive enzymes work in our mouths to break down the food. Once the food is swallowed, it travels down our esophagus into our stomachs, where hydrochloric acid and pepsin work to further break down the food. Now, the purpose of our digestion is to convert 4 substances into energy. Carbohydrates get converted into simple sugars, which then go to energy. Fats get converted into fatty acids, which help us to build other substances in our bodies. Fiber gets converted into protein. Fat gets converted into fatty acids. Fiber gets broken down. Protein gets converted into amino acids. And after the food leaves the stomach, it heads into the duodenum, where the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas come into play to add additional secretions to emulsify the fats, further break down the carbohydrates and protein small enough to be absorbed by the small intestine. And our small intestine is about 10 to 16 feet in length. So that's kind of the straightforward of how our bodies work. Now let's look at the cow. So this is the body of the cow. It says that a cow chews the cud. In animals that chew the cud, first, whether it's a clean or unclean animal, because we know that both types of animals can chew the cud, but they have to be cloven-footed also to be clean. It says that they swallow their food first without chewing. So in this picture, there's a cow nibbling grass. He won't chew that grass, he'll just swallow it. And first it goes into the rumen, and from there it goes back into the mouth of the cow where it is chewed for hours as cud. Then the food goes to the omasum before traveling to the obomasum, which is like the real stomach that is kind of like our stomachs, and out to the intestines. Now, in the ox and other ruminants, however, considerable bacterial action is exerted upon the enormous amount of material taken into the capacium rumen prior to its regurgitation and digestion. So this bacterial action is favored by the slightly alkaline reaction of the portion of the stomach and its freedom from gastric secretions, as well as by the prolonged sojourn of food matter therein. So the changes brought about by bacteria inhibiting the alimentary tract include the breaking up of cellulose and fats, the production of organic acids such as acetic, butyric, and lactic, and the splitting of the carbohydrates known as polysaccharides. The gases methane, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, etc. are formed during the bacterial action in the rumen, but they are of no value to the animal and are excreted as waste. The first three stomachs of the ruminant are essentially for the purpose of storing and grinding the food material, and true digestion taking place largely in the fourth stomach, which is the obomasum, and finally in the intestine. The stomach of the horse is comparably small, so chewing the cud means to completely break down the food and kill all bacterium that can be present in the food. So this cow is taking probably 24 hours to have all the food digested that they eat it from start to finish. And so it's kind of like a complete digestion. It's a complete digestion of the food. Now, here's another animal that is said to be unclean. It's a rabbit. And it's kind of interesting because rabbits eat a lot of vegetables. They are like very, very healthy by the diet that they eat. So you think that if we eat the rabbit, we get the benefit of all the vegetables that the rabbit eat. But digestion in the rabbit is different. So we have digestion in humans and digestion in this ruminant or this ox. And now we have a totally different type of digestion that God created in this rabbit. And so this rabbit, rabbits are eaten in different parts of the world, but they're said to be unclean. Now, the hare is chewing the cud. They are chewing cud, but here's how they do it. So first, they eat, hay, leafy greens, vegetables, and the food goes into their stomach. And then the food goes into a part of their body called the sacrum. And the sacrum is connected to their intestines, and they are going to pretty much poop out a material. Now, the material was quickly digested, and so it's not the body of the rabbit doesn't have all the nutrients from it. And so the rabbit pretty much take these pellets that they pooped out, and the pellets are called sacotropes. They eat them again. So they eat them again in their mouth to get the full digestion from it, and then they poop out a hard, dry pellet that's the final, what we think of as the final poop. So rabbits, in order to digest their food, they have to process their food and then consume it again. So they're chewing on it again, and then they swallow it, and then they, have the final digestion. Rabbits know the difference between the stuff that comes out that's mixed with their poop versus the actual poop, so I know it's a little bit gross, but yeah, so that's how they do it. So the food that they eat again is mixed in, it's not pure, it's mixed in with their poop, and so the meat of the rabbit is unclean unto us, likely for that reason. Now, let's get to the pig. So, looking at the pig's digestion system, they don't have those extra stomachs like the ox had, and they don't have to re-eat their poop to get the full digestion. But what they have is a system that kind of looks like ours, where they're eating it with their mouth, it goes down their esophagus into a stomach, where the liver and the pancreas are mixing some fluids, and then it goes to their small intestine, and then out through their colon. So their system looks straightforward, kind of like our system was made. But one reason for God forbidding pork, we're thinking, is because their digestion system is different from that of a cow, where a cow is taking a full 24 hours to digest. This pig can digest its food in 4 hours. And pigs are gluttonous, and they never know when to stop eating. Their stomach acids become diluted because of the volume of food, allowing all kinds of vermin to pass through their protective barrier. Parasites, bacteria, viruses, toxins can pass into the pig's flesh because of overeating. These toxins and infectious agents can be passed on to humans when they eat the pig's flesh. Now, why do pigs carry more diseases and toxins than other farm animals? Aside from the dangerous garbage they typically eat, part of the answer has to do with their digestive system. So a pig, we said, digests its food rather quickly in about 4 hours. And the fast transit time does not allow for the efficient removal of toxins from the system. Everything isn't completely broken down. It's not regurgitated, chewed again with enzymes. Any toxins are absorbed and stored in their fat, their muscle tissue, and their organs, which then are eaten by people. So the issue is that, well, we don't know, but pigs also lack a lot of the sweat glands that we have. So that could be an issue, but I don't have any data to say that that's an issue. But we do know that the cow takes a good 24 hours to digest the grass, the hay, and the grain that it has eaten. And this is typically of the clean animals that chew the cud. And so their slow transit time makes digestion efficient to remove a lot of the toxins. Now, pigs also have high histamine levels, and anyone who eats their meat and also has allergic reactions, it's going to be worse when they eat the meat that already is full of histamines in it, because it's going to cause your body to have a histamine reaction and give off an allergy. What else do we have? Yeah, we know that pigs also by nature are scavengers, and they will eat any kind of food, including garbage, maggots, rodents, rotting carcasses, excrement, even their own offspring. Farmers often use pigs as virtual garbage disposals, which include things like dead chickens, but even farmers who, have pigs and they feed them grain only, they cannot stop the animals from eating rodents, which carry a numerous number of parasites and diseases and feces. Swine are also incubators of parasites and viruses. According to the Centers for Disease Control, numerous viruses and other infection agents are brought into the United States each year in pigs, mostly from China. Things like the H1N1 or swine flu. Also, pigs are known to carry up to 200 diseases and 18 different parasites and worms, including the deadly worm called Trichinella spiralis. Trichinosis, which is the disease caused by this particular worm, can mimic other diseases such as arthritis, rheumatism, or typhoid fever. Now, what does the science say? So I stopped eating pork strictly because the Bible says don't eat it. Aside from the dangers already discussed, there is additional science regarding pork that is out there. So the consumption of pork appears to have a mysterious detrimental effect on human blood clotting mechanisms. In her book, Nourishing Traditions, Sally Phelan writes, investigation into the effects of pork consumption on blood chemistry has revealed serious changing lasting for several hours after pork is consumed. The pork used in these tests was organic and free of trichinosis, so the changes that occurred in the blood were due to some other factor, possibly a protein unique to pork. In the laboratory, pork is one of the best mediums for feeding the growth of cancer cells. The prohibition against pork found in the Bible and the Quran may thus derive from something other than a concern for the parasite contamination. So porks carry all these diseases, but it appears that God knows something that the scientists have yet to discover. Like, we don't know all the reasons why one food is clean versus unclean. But here's what they did. They fed healthy pork, they cooked it to the right temperatures, it was free of parasites and diseases, and they took half of it and they marinated it. And they took the other half and they did not marinate it. But they fed the cooked pork to people, the pork that was marinated and the pork that was not marinated. For the pork that was not marinated, they drew the blood of the people before and 5 hours after they ate it. Now, the picture on the left is the red blood cells before eating pork. These blood cells look healthy. That's how they're supposed to look. Now, for the people that ate the pork that was not marinated, 5 hours later, all the blood was clotted. All the blood was clotted 5 hours later just from one meal of eating pork. Okay? Now, the blood cells of the people who ate the pork that was marinated before looked like on the left. And the people that ate the pork that was marinated 5 hours later looked the same. It didn't have this clotting. So something changed in the meat by marinating it versus the people that just bought the pork, cooked it perfectly. Something changed. And so because of this study, scientists are saying that there could be chronic conditions of people who eat pork just chronically having their blood clotted like this is definitely unhealthy and causes all type of degenerative diseases. And so the study demonstrated that the consumption of non-marinated pork has a profound effect on human blood chemistry. So the results show unequivocally that consuming unmarinated cooked pork shows a significant negative effect on the blood. Alright. The changes appeared quite rapid in less than 10 minutes after the blood draw and did not clear up during an hour of observing the blood under the microscope. Moreover, some of the subjects felt fatigue after eating the pork chop, which suggested reduced peripheral blood circulation due to red blood count stickiness and aggregation. Because the tiniest microcapillaries are smaller than the diameter of a single blood cell, each cell must pass through singularly and deform its shape in order to do so. Blood cell aggregates simply cannot pass through such capillaries. So it is widely accepted that blood clotting disorders are a causative factor in chronic systemic inflammation, which is at the root of chronic disease. Okay, this condition in the blood, if chronic, is associated with increased risk of chronic degenerative diseases, including cardiovascular disease, cancer, autoimmune disorders, and others. So we don't know why the marinating of the pork didn't cause this type of reaction, but for sure, heat alone from cooking cannot destroy the reaction in the human body to pork. Most of the pork consumed today is not marinated, yet many people routinely eat pork and they are unaware of the serious changes that are taking place in their blood chemistry. So undoubtedly, pork's ability to restrict normal microcapillary blood flow is a significant factor in today's epidemic of degenerative diseases. So this is new information that I was not aware about, but it does, give more credit to the Bible saying just stay away from these unclean foods. Now, where do you find pork products? Pork products were everywhere. When I tried to eliminate pork, I was like, well, I don't just want to limit it to pork chops and steaks. I want to see when they cut up that animal, because it said don't even touch their carcasses. I want to know what is pork in, and I was shocked. I was shocked to see that so many things are derived from pork. It's everywhere. It's in medicines. It's in toothpaste. The major ingredients are to look for are glycerin and gelatin. And it was so hard because I would see so many things had glycerin in it, but then I learned that glycerin also comes from plants. And so the packages, the marketing would start to say glycerin from plants, not animals. So I would look for that. But then I found an easier way to decipher products that were made with products derived from pork, with pork derivatives, and products that weren't. And it's the K for kosher. So look for that K for kosher symbol. Could help to distinguish products from pork, products derived from pork and products not. They also have the OU symbol. And sorry I don't have a picture of it right here, but a lot of the Judaism dietary laws, I think they were big on making that K symbol or products more prevalent. So if you look up the K parve, P-A-R-V-E, or the OU symbol, dietary for the Judaism, that symbol kind of saved me in looking for products that just didn't have the pork in it. All right, so we're at the end of our week 5. You're going to keep up your lemon water and curcumin peel. You're going to keep up those 5 servings of raw fruits and vegetables. I know y'all got plenty of energy. Get those 7 hours of sleep. No eating after 9 p.m. or after you're full. You're going to keep up with the elimination of dairy and beef products. Do your candida cleanse if you need it. Avoid those sugary drinks. Take your probiotics. Avoid your genetically modified foods. Choose organic when you can. And this week, for the next 7 days, start to eliminate pork and go on a hunt for those pork products. All right, I love you guys. I will talk to you later in hopes that your life is going from cursed to blessed.